Let's look at verse 22. It says, by faith, Joseph, when he was dying, he made mention of the departure. You know, each time I think about it, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. You know the story of Joseph. How as a teenager, he began to have visions of God's purposes for his life. And in his naivety, he began to say some things, which ordinarily he shouldn't be saying. Okay, but he was naive, didn't have understanding, alright? And because of that, his older brothers, they were not happy with him. Anyway, long story short, they conspired. They almost killed him, but God intervened, and eventually he found himself in Egypt. He was in slavery, the house of Potiphar. Then from there he was in jail, and eventually God brought him out into a place of prominence in Egypt. Glory be to God. In the course of time, Israel came into Egypt as a nation, so to speak, about 70 of them. And through divine providence, Israel was settled in Goshen. And for the 7 years of famine, Israel was in Goshen. And at this point, their father, Jacob, had died. They had gone to bury him and returned. If you read the preceding verses, the brothers were now afraid because they said to themselves, now that our father is dead, Joseph may remember what we did to him. So they went to Joseph and were lying to Joseph that our father, when he was alive, Joseph said, forget that I will provide for you and your children. That you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. Glory be to God. So Joseph now is at the point of death. This Hebrews 11:20. By faith, Joseph, when he was dying, made mention of the departure of the children of Israel and gave instructions concerning his bones. So let's look at that story. Genesis 50, verse 24. And Joseph said to his brethren, I am dying. As for me, my time has come to depart. But for you, God will surely what? Visit you. How can you be persuaded of a promise, even at the point of death? Can you see the scripture? He said, I am dying, but God will surely visit you and bring you out of this land to the land of which he swore. Now the promise Joseph is talking about here is the promise that was handed over to him from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob, whom we call Israel, and then to Joseph. So there was a way, and that puts a responsibility on us who are parents, that we must learn to communicate our faith to our children so that it goes beyond our generation. Joseph is speaking of a promise here that was given to Abraham, his forefather, before he was ever conceived. But he had embraced it. God will surely visit you. Why would Joseph be able to say this? Because he himself, he had had some measure of experience with God. As a teenager, God began to appear to him about the future that God had for him, right? And he went through a lot, but eventually he came into the promise. And I want to say to us this morning, it doesn't matter what goes on around you and I. Whatever promise it is you have held on, you're coming into it.